Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is now time for the best real estate podcast online. It is time for Lakeway Area Real Estate Talk Live with Mike and Dave Elkins, presented by Elite Realty Group.
Here's the real estate information today we're going to talk about. We've talked about this before, contingencies.
Yes.
Okay? Contingencies are normally a part of a real estate contract, and we've talked about those every which way, but we've never really talked in depth about the most common ones, the ones that you see that on most real estate contracts, these contingencies are more likely to show up than any of the others.
Right.
Now, before we give these 5 to you today, let us tell you this is not no legal or financial information. This is just us giving you our opinion of things that we see.
Right.
Should you need legal or financial information, what do they need to do?
Pick up your phone and call.
Yeah, Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe.
Yes, Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe.
They will.
We'll tell you.
They will be able to help you with that. Contact the person that you're trying to get the legal or financial advice from, and they will be able to tell you that. We're just giving you our opinions. But when it goes to contingencies, we're going to talk about probably the 5 most common ones, is what we've titled this as. But a contingency can literally be anything. You can make anything a contingency.
I think we said the last time we talked about contingencies was you can make it contingent upon the AC/DC stuff staying in the basement.
Yes, that's exactly right. It can be there. But we're going to give you the most 5 common ones that you should be prepared either to, one, ask for this to be a contingency if you're buying, or as a seller, don't be surprised if you don't see these being asked of you as a contingency on the contract that you have. So you ready to go? Got anything else you need to say before we go? Here we go. Here's number 1. No particular order here, all right? The home inspection contingency is going to be the number 1, all right?
Yes.
There is, in the state of Tennessee, it is actually built into the contract, right? Mm-hmm. Into the legal, state, supplied, approved contract.
Right.
A home inspection is built into the contract.
That's not saying it's necessary.
No, not always that it has to be done. It can be waived. It can be done away with. It can be said, I don't want it. But a common contingency, which is what we're talking about today, that is usually asked for in a real estate contract in the state of Tennessee is a home inspection to be performed.
Why is that important?
It's important because if you're looking at this from let's look from the buyer's perspective here.
Okay.
They're going to want to go in and make sure that the house they're getting ready to be committed to pay for, the amount of money, whatever that is, whether it be their cash money or they're going to get a loan on it, which we'll talk about more later. They're going to want to make sure that that house is not ready to fall down.
It's as good as it looks.
It's as good as it looks. The electrical's right. They're not going to be worried about moving in and know they've got a electrical hazard that could cause a fire.
Right.
The roof's not got a hole in it that you've put a piece of plastic over.
You got foundation problems.
Things like that. So that's why they're going to look at and say, they're probably going to ask for a home inspection to be done. We've talked about what that is before many, many times, but as a seller, also as a buyer, you probably want to do a home inspection.
Right.
But as a seller, don't be surprised. Don't get upset if someone says, even though you've got a beautiful home, it looks and is as good as it looks. Don't be surprised if someone says, hey, we're going to have a home inspection.
It's going to be contingent upon a home inspection.
And talking about home inspections, I think we've heard a little bit of the reasons why people do those. I just gave some of them. But sometimes people want to know if there's any problems. The second thing is they just want to rule out that there aren't no problems. Right? It's not that they're going to try to get a home inspection and say, well, you've got a problem here and I'm not going to buy your house.
Yes.
They just want to know what could be a problem for them.
And being honest, like I said about home inspections before, you're hiring somebody to come in and find stuff wrong.
Absolutely.
95% of the time, unless you've listened to us before and had a pre-inspection.
Right.
A pre-listing home inspection.
Right.
Most of the time, they're going to find stuff wrong with every home.
Absolutely.
The buyers normally know that.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Everything's going to have something wrong with it. So in their minds, they're want to see how much.
Right.
Is this stuff that I can do, or is this stuff I need to ask to be done?
Right, ask to be done. And you made a good point there with the pre-listing.
Yes.
The pre-listing home inspection. You've heard us say before, get a pre-listing home inspection. It kind of helps you up front on doing these things.
Right.
So we're talking today about the five most common contingencies that we see. They're usually part of a real estate contract. Again, whether you're buying or selling. Buying, you can ask for these. Selling, you should be prepared to be able to look that these may come to you. So that is number one. What do you got for number two?
Number two is the appraisal contingency.
Right.
Okay. Why would it be important that an appraisal contingency is on there?
Well,
obviously so.
Yes.
You want to make sure that the property that you're buying is worth
the money you're about to give.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So you want to know that that if you get in this deal, and just had this happen on my last one.
Right.
I mean, the asking price, it comes in a little low. Mm-hmm. Is the seller going to drop to that?
Right.
Is the buyer going to pay
more?
Pay
more? Right. There's options there. That's
right. So that appraisal contingency is wrote in there. Again, that's another thing that's wrote into the contract. Mm-hmm. You don't have to add that. It's not nothing special. It's pre-wrote in there. You can waive that.
Yes.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Right. Wouldn't need it. Yeah, I wouldn't.
But that is something that's already wrote in there is the appraisal.
Right. And then you look at it though, most of the time, there are cash deals. There's, in our market, there's several cash deals. However, there are more deals that have a mortgage on them. Right. There are more transactions. There's a mortgage that takes place versus a cash deal. Most of the time, that lender is going to say, this house has to appraise or we ain't loaning no money on it.
Right.
So again, that's one of the reasons. Again, that's a real common contingency. It's got to appraise because the lender is going to be the one putting their foot down to say, we're going to loan or we're not going to loan.
Right.
And a lot of times it's all based upon that appraisal, what that comes back at. If it does not appraise, there are options though. If it appraises for too much, good for you as the buyers buying that house.
Yeah, you got
You've got what we call equity, yes, coming into that house. So anything else about the appraisal? So we got home inspection, we've got appraisal. Here's the third one. And kind of goes along with the appraisal one. The third one is a financing contingency, all right? If you're purchasing a home and you're going to be getting that mortgage, I would want to make sure that if I didn't have the cash to pony up and buy this thing, that the person that I'm going to try to get the money from, the lending institution, the mortgage company, whoever, they're actually going to finance me on this deal.
Right, absolutely.
Now, there's a lot of things that go into that. Appraisal's one of them, right? Your credit, all of those things, the amount of money you may be or may not be paying down, your debt to income ratio, all of those things go into, can I get financing on this home?
Right.
But a very common contingency again is I must be able to get financing on this home.
It's another thing that's pre-written into the contract.
Yes.
Financing contingencies on there. Of course, you can waive that.
Right.
Now, listen, if you're buying a house, okay, if you're not buying it through us or whatever, then make sure if you're getting a loan, that box is checked.
Oh, yeah.
You would be surprised if I have a listing.
Right.
You'd be surprised how many times I get that and that is waived.
Right.
And so I always say, is this a cash deal?
Right.
So, because you just waived the financing contingency.
Right.
As a buyer, you don't want that if
you
you're
don't want to do that, especially if you get financing. Right. You don't want to do that.
Yes. No. So again, and then the reason is, why is this financing contingency on there? Mm-hmm. Being our pre-qualified versus pre-approved.
Right.
Pre-approved means they've looked at it, right?
Right.
So pre-qualified, you might have went and got pre-qualified.
Right. Quick.
Quick.
I mean, something quick.
Yeah. Again, pre-qualified is they're just taking a look and saying, okay, based on what you've told me, then yes, you can do it. So if you pre-qualified and then you got this, if you don't put that financing contingency on there, when you actually submit your information, the real stuff, and it comes back different, you want to make sure that you've got the contingency.
Now you can't get that, right? Absolutely. Now the contingency's not met.
Right.
So now you're in a little bit of trouble.
Nicole's in the house.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Nicole showed up here right in the middle of the show, man.
Yeah.
We're glad you're with us, Nicole. Nicole's been out running around. So again, financing, it's a big thing. But if you'll notice, these first couple ones, and a lot of these, the next one's not, these first couple ones, they're in the state of Tennessee on the contract that the state supplies for us as realtors to use and companies. These are in there.
But
You've got to say, I don't want this.
Right. You just need to make sure that the right box is checked saying, yes, it is contingent upon appraisal. Yes, it is contingent upon my financing.
Yes. And it's in there for your protection.
Right.
Both sides.
Absolutely.
Buying and selling sides.
Yeah.
These are in there for both of your sides, so you're going to want to make sure. That's number 3. If you just got here, before we give you the last 2, make sure that you're participating in our poll question today. We're doing a little research, and we need you, the nation, to help us out on this, as you always do. Some great answers have came in so far, so we want to hear some more, though. The more info we can get, the better it's going to help us serve you. But here's what we're asking from you today. We want to know, what is the most important feature that you look for in a home? What's the most important thing to you? Dave said he needs a big master bathroom. We've had suites, we've had big rooms, we've had kitchens, we've had family rooms, entertainment rooms, but we want to hear from you guys. So if you've not participated in that yet, make sure that you give us that information. Second thing is, shout us out, man. Say hello so we can talk back to you guys. So we're talking about the 5 most in our experience. The 5 most common contingencies that are on a real estate contract. We've gave you the first 3. Turn it over to you. You got number 4.
Number 4. Oh, it's my turn again. All right, so this is one that's not on there, and again, you would need to make sure this one's on there.
Yeah.
Okay. If this
applies,
yes, you need to make sure this is on there. So it's the sale of a current home contingency.
Right.
So meaning,
kind of go a little deeper there. Tell them a little bit what we're saying.
I have my house for sale.
Right.
I want to buy Mike's house.
Right.
Okay. I want to go ahead and make an offer, and because I just explained this to a lady the other day, and she'd never heard of it.
Right.
So again, maybe we inform you guys too much. Some people need to start watching the show.
That's right, man.
I told this lady because she was telling me she likes the house that I've got
right
listed.
now.
Right now.
Yeah, wants to buy it right now.
And she wants to buy it right now. But she's trying to sell her house. Mm-hmm. So I said, well, you can always make an offer. I can make an offer on Mike's house.
Right.
But it has to be contingent that I sell my house first.
Absolutely.
And the benefits of that?
Well, the benefits let's go for the buyer first.
Okay.
Right? You're not going to get stuck as the buyer of that home. You're not going to get stuck with 2 mortgages.
Absolutely.
Okay?
That's the importance if you're a buyer.
Yeah.
If you don't make it contingent upon this, then I have to close this house.
Right.
Because they didn't put that contingency on there to protect me.
But let's go back just a little bit too.
Okay.
We just talked about a financing contingency. That could mess things up a little bit.
Mess
right?
everything up.
You could look at it and lender say, hey, yes, you can buy a new house, but you can't have 2 houses.
Right.
You can't have 2 payments.
Right.
Depending on the types of loans that they are. So all that kind of works together as far as these contingencies. But the sale of the current home contingency, again, as far as a buyer, if you could purchase both of them at the same time, you wouldn't get stuck with the 2 mortgages. It's going to be assured that you don't have to move forward on the home that you're buying until your home would sell. Now, a seller's going to have to accept. All these contingencies can be negotiated. They are accepted or declined, right? So a seller would have to be willing to accept that contingency, which, again, in today's market, when we say homes are going really quick, sometimes you don't have time to wait on your house to sell because the house you're wanting is going to be gone.
Right.
So you would want to go ahead and try, as you were advising yours to do, put an offer in, put it with the contingency that your house sells. The seller, if they accept it, then you're good. However, they may look at you and go, I won't accept that contingency.
So what's the benefits of a seller in accepting an offer with a contingency?
They've got an offer on their house.
Now we have an offer.
Yeah, now the offer.
We have an offer on the table.
Absolutely.
Now there's things that a seller could do to protect themselves because you don't want to hang on to an offer
forever with
the chance of so-and-so might have to sell their house over here.
Right.
So you always want to make sure that as a seller, you come back and give yourself a right of refusal.
Sure.
That can be 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, whatever. Right. But that's saying that, yeah, I'll take your offer.
Right.
But if Nicole comes and says, I've made an offer here, I want to buy Mike's house, but it's contingent upon mine. If Nicole says, hey, Mike, I want to buy your house, I don't have that contingency.
Right.
I want to have a home inspection contingency.
Sure.
But now I've got to make a decision here.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Can I buy 2 houses? Can I have 2 houses?
Right.
Can mine sell within 48 hours?
Right. Right.
Or whatever that can.
Those are things that you just got to look at and weigh out, negotiate, so on and so forth. You got to look at those things. But these are common. You know what I'm saying? That's why we're talking to you about them today. They're common. They're things that we see. So we're trying to get that information out to you because just like what you said, The woman you were talking to didn't even know you could do this.
Right.
You know what I mean?
She didn't know it was an option.
Didn't even know it was an option. And it is 100% an option. That's number 4. Here's the last one, and it is a title contingency. What's a title? Kind of like, if we're going to liken it to, like a car. We got to make sure that what you're selling
is yours.
You can sell it. There are no liens on it. But again, you're transferring clear title over to the new owners of that home. You want to make sure, as the new homeowner, that contingency is there for you, because you don't want to purchase anything again that somebody else could actually own, and you're buying it from someone who actually don't even own it.
It's not nothing that's common nowadays, but I reckon in years past they've had this problem where people actually, I would say, okay, I'm going to sell Mike's house.
Right.
Mike don't have a clue that I'm selling his house. But I reckon back in, times back that used to happen.
Right.
Now, more specifically for our date and time, is that Mike might have inherited this house.
Sure.
And it might have been that Mike's trying to sell this house, and I'm his brother, and he's not going to tell me about it. He's inherited a house, and he's going to try to sell it without me knowing about it.
Undermine you, right?
Yes. So a title is going. When they do that title search, they're going to make sure that Mike solely has full,
that I can call
that he can do that.
Yeah, 100%.
So again, that's important to know, because we've seen this just here in the last 5 to 6 months, to where a guy got a property.
Right.
He tried to sell the property, and in his mind, as far as he knew, it was all his. He bought it without having a title search done.
Right.
He bought it just, hey, Mike,
we're good
old boys, I'm going to buy this off of you.
Right.
I bought it. What he didn't realize is what he inherited was a bunch of back child support.
Right. Right.
So now he can't sell it.
Right.
Because it's tied to that property.
Yeah. Well, he can sell it if he pays it off.
Well, I mean, you got,
but there's a lot.
There's a lot. Yeah.
There's a lot there.
So that's very important that title contingency is on there. You want to make sure that what you're buying, you can really own it.
Right. And keep in mind, as we've gave you these 5, all of these are negotiable. There are more than just these 5. We're just talking to you today about the 5 most common ones, because you do see these more than you see the others. But anything is negotiable as far as that goes. They may or may not accept those contingencies for you to be able to do those things, but that's all hashed out in the offer of the property, right?
Yeah, again,
in the offer.
These are the common.
100%, 100%.
We thank each and every one of you for listening to today's podcast. Tune in for future episodes by subscribing to our channel and get the latest and greatest real estate information right here on Lakeway Area Real Estate Talk Live, presented by Elite Realty Group. Until next time, have a great and blessed day.